College is not Disneyland. The goal is not to have fun. 19 unpopular opinions from Reddit that will leave you needing therapy. Jeans with holes in them, especially pre-made holes, are dumb as hell. Why do people think it's cool to walk around in raggedy pants full of holes and tears? They don't make you look cool. You look like a bum. It was a bit of a thing in the 2000s for men and women, now it's mostly just a woman thing. And it is stupid. Why do I want to see 6 inches of just your left thigh? It looks weird, and I hope the next time you put your pants on, you accidentally catch the hole with your foot and cause a massive rip that isn't fashionable, and thereby ruining your same-priced jeans that just have holes and tears on them. There isn't a single other product on the market that the public buys with the expectation of being damaged at the time of purchase. Shy people are actually great people to date. I went on a date with an extremely cute girl who I honestly commend for even going out with me in the first place, because she's extremely shy and it was probably a little bit socially overwhelming for her. We went to a sushi place, sat at the bar, ate and had a few drinks and just got to know each other. But her being shy, she was always so giggly because she was a bit nervous, and it just made everything she said seem so much more adorable. Plus, I could tell she was really putting in effort to interact with me, which made me feel like she actually cared about the date. I guess it's kind of like this: if you're on a date with a shy girl, or even a shy guy for that matter, they're stepping out of their comfort zone to see you. That kind of effort is attractive in itself. Plus, you get to experience a person who doesn't give that privilege to just anyone. Dating shy people can actually be a great experience if you can earn their trust and they open up. Proposing to someone who has no idea it's coming is irresponsible and unwise. Choosing someone to marry is one of the most important and life-changing decisions many people will ever make. Regardless of how the marriage ends, divorce, death, etc., there will be significant, often irreversible consequences that naturally come from the decision to get married. And you're going to ask someone to marry you without having talked about it first? You're going to pop the question before talking about finances, parenting styles, future goals? You're going to ask someone to marry you before even clarifying what marriage means to you both? Are you insane? The only thing that should be a surprise about a proposal is the details of it: when, where, how it takes place. And it should happen after, and only after, the two people have discussed marriage in depth, hopefully with a therapist. The major in a subject you love mentality is unrealistic and misleads college-bound students. College is not Disneyland. The goal is not to have fun. The goal is to gain a knowledge, skills and degree that is marketable. To allow you to find a good job to justify the college tuition, room, board and the lost income due to not being able to work full-time during college. The whole pick a major you love mentality is misleading and incomplete, since it basically disregards the economic aspect of a college education. Yes, it is important to like what you're studying, but picking it solely based on passion is plain stupid advice. Sometimes I kind of like the smell of body odor. I know this is a little weird, but I can't be the only one. I'm mainly talking about my own body odor, but I also have an ex whose body odor got me intoxicated and flustered. Is it just from uns? I don't know. I know I'm someone who often smells bad smells because they're just interesting. Does anyone else think this? Armpits, crotch, a little stink can smell good. Too many people mistake excuses for explanations. Understanding why something happened does not mean that you are justifying it. I like to understand why people do what they do, whether it is good or bad. There have been so many situations in my life where someone will do something mean or controversial, and if I am talking to other people about why I think they did what they did, someone will lash out and say something like stop making excuses for them. It is such an eye-rolling moment for me. There is a reason that someone does literally anything, and I like to know what it is, especially if it is something bad. Knowing why does not mean I think it is right or that they get a pass. Chill out. Judging students' notes for a grade is stupid. Notes are meant to be for the student to remember and look back on them for later. They're not supposed to be evidence of people paying attention. What especially irks me is when teachers grade them and deduct points for bad handwriting. Yeah, my handwriting's bad because I tease not for you. You need evidence I'm paying attention? Look at how much I wrote. Can't read it? Doesn't matter that much because I didn't care you were grading it in the first place. You can tell it's still English, or at the very least actual letters, right? Then that's good enough. Rice is better than pasta in every way. You can have it with beans and a little bit of seasoning and it's a filling meal, or you can get creative and make a rice dish with all sorts of different ingredients. It's not just me, a lot of people feel this way. So fight me on this all you want, but I stand by my opinion that rice is better than pasta 95% of the time. Traveling alone is better than traveling with someone or a group. As the title states, it is much nicer to travel alone than with someone or in a group. By this I am referring to traveling on planes, buses, cars, motorcycles, etc. I believe it is much nicer to experience cool things with other people, but when it comes down to the actual travel part, it is much nicer to do it alone. The whole humanity as a species deserves to die off as ridiculous and unnecessary. More and more, I see people on Reddit agreeing with someone who says that we deserve to die off or that it'll be soon. The fact is, all of these people will be screaming for their lives just like the rest of us if that time comes. Humanity, like any species, is capable of the best and the worst. Basing the acts of an entire species on the acts of a few makes no sense to me. Do we need to strive to do better? Yes. Are we slowly getting there? Kind of. There are people who are clearly striving to do good and help us get to a better place. More needs to be done, yes, but the effort is there, enough to show that these comments are ludicrous. The point remains that this particular opinion does not get us anywhere. It does not help us progress and better ourselves. The idea that not eating the food someone offers you is rude is stupid. Lots of people think it's rude to not eat the food you're offered when being a guest at someone's house. The fact that people actually get upset with people for it is so weird and somewhat toxic to me. Sure, there are often exceptions like allergies or medical conditions, but why should people need to disclose that to get out of eating the food? These events often have multiple people, and people shouldn't have to explain their medical condition or allergy in front of everyone. Especially if it's eating disorder related or an embarrassing medical condition. Even if it's not anything serious and they just don't like the food, why should people need to force themselves to eat something that they really don't like to appease others? Why would it make you feel better to have someone eat your food and be miserable while doing it than just say no thank you? It seems like such a weird idea. It's not a personal attack. They may just not be hungry. It's nothing anyone should get upset about. It's okay to be happy if someone dies. There are a lot of people out there who are just really bad people, leaving nothing but wasteland behind them. They might be abusive or have lived at the expense of others. They might have gaslighted their family members and partners. They might have ridiculed those in need, or even abused others. If those people die, I'm relieved and sometimes even happy. And I do think that this is a legitimate reaction. Somebody replied, when my narcissistic evil petty great-aunt Jean died, the funeral was basically a roast. I did a whole bit about how she didn't get me any birthday presents because I, a child, didn't get her anything for her birthday. Or the time she invoiced my grandparents, her brother, $500 for a wedding cake she made that her bakery sold for $200, for my mother's wedding. I found her dead in the back garden on Easter Day when I was 14. She had been out there for a couple of days. She died as she lived, nasty and alone. Mr. Beast is proof that if you have enough money, people will watch you. The dude seems to have done some great things, like planting a lot of trees, but this dude is just so boring. I'm not someone who needs to be shouted at when watching YouTube, but him and his friends are so uninteresting, which sucks because his concepts are really cool. I've always wanted to make YouTube videos, but I feel like I am so limited because I need to spend a lot to gain a following. In the early days of YouTube it was just people making content, but it's so much more than that now and I despise it. All these big YouTubers have incredible budgets now, making it hard for new YouTubers to get recognition. Showering in the dark is much better than showering with the lights on. The title basically sums it up. I try to shower in the lowest light level I can. It's soothing, therapeutic, and I enjoy the process of my eyes adjusting to the light and having to half guess where the tap or towels are. spending more than a few $100s on your wedding is a waste. This doesn't include food. Seriously though, $1,500 to $2,500 on a dress is ridiculous. $5,000 on a ring with a specific type of rock because it's the norm is ridiculous. Nobody's going to remember your wedding except for you, and most guests besides the ones you're really close with won't care as much as you think they would. Nobody cares about fancy little napkins or the special flowers you spent $500 on. It's one day that's supposed to be about your love. It's becoming materialistic. Why spend all that money on a wedding anyways? Rather spend it all on a dope-ass vacation or honeymoon. And as long as my ring doesn't cause green around my finger, I don't care. I will never be in favor of converting to paper straws. I'll recycle, use only reusable grocery bags, carpool, and whatever else. But I draw the line at paper straws. If I spill water near a stack of paperwork, I say oh no. So why would I intentionally put paper into my water? Are we really doing that much for the earth when, in the course of an evening, I have multiple paper straws to finish my wine slushy because your winery converted to paper straws and it stops functioning? It tastes horrible and isn't functional. Someone is cutting down the rainforest so you can tell people you went green. Besides, of all the horrible things in the world, is my pleasure of drinking out of a plastic straw really that bad? I literally recycle my mascara brushes from a makeup brand that doesn't test on animals, clean them, and mail them to help wildlife efforts to clean oil off of animals, but I can't have the pleasure of using a damn plastic straw? Life is hard. Let me enjoy my plastic straws, or at least leave it as an option. It is not embarrassing to get a kid's meal when you are no longer a child. I've seen hate in the past and many people flaming others for getting a kid's meal when they've outgrown that stage. I've also heard that it was embarrassing because you should be getting adult portions. What's so wrong with ordering a kid's meal? Sometimes, you just feel like eating something simpler and smaller. There's nothing bad about that. It's not a big deal and people shouldn't be bugging about it. If someone wants to choose from the kid's meal, then let them be. My cute grandmother always likes to get a kid's meal because she doesn't have a big appetite and she's 86. No one's going to tell her no. Redditors need to stop suggesting that everyone gets therapy for every issue. It seems like so many advice posts have a ridiculous amount of people telling someone to get therapy. To the point where it seems like everyone's go-to advice. Sometimes we go through things which are intense and therapy is needed to work through your emotions. But by no means does it fix all your problems. Some of the things are, if you would like therapy, great, but you don't have to unless you feel it had a significant impact on you. Often these problems can be resolved with a few changes and conversations, and if it doesn't, then go for it. Here are the things I have seen people recommend for therapy. Arguments with parents, not abusive, just general arguments. Being a bit of a dickhead. Feeling low after a life change. Upset to lose a friend. Having the usual family disputes. They belong to a different culture which has some societal norms which contradict yours. Arguments at work. Someone liking them and crossing boundaries. People, being sad is normal. It is a regular thing. I encourage people to seek therapy when needed, especially when things are unmanageable. I also encourage people to learn to manage the low times and embrace being sad or different. It's life, there will be lots. There's a balance. But maybe this post is too controversial and I need therapy? Many nurses are terrible people and don't deserve to be called heroes. As a chronic pain patient, I have been disgusted by the amount of trauma I have endured at the hands of nurses. This whole healthcare workers are heroes thing is a convenient lie. While there are many medical professionals who do deserve this title, most nurses don't. I am not saying all nurses are terrible people. I am not saying that so many nurses aren't overworked and undervalued. I am also not talking about the nurses just since the pandemic, as I'm much more understanding of how nurses feel during the pandemic. I'm also not saying there aren't wonderful nurses out there. I have had one or two wonderful nurses. I also do not think doctors are all kind. I have had very bad experiences with doctors, especially neurologists, as their egos can be awful. Even many doctors hate nurses because of how petty they can be. Also, nobody should be defending that nurse who killed a patient because she gave them the wrong medication, after overriding the system to get the medication. If that person had been a child instead of an older person, no one would ever defend her. She's a murderer. Somebody replied, my most vivid memory of this was in February. I was in the emergency unit because I had just tried to end my life and my mother brought me there after I had taken 2 entire containers of Prozac. Keep in mind at this exact moment, my mother had left to get me food. While she was gone, one nurse asked me why I was there, why I did it. I told her I felt I didn't have any support in life, as in emotional, since my relationship with my family is not great and I don't have many friends. She said, you're 23, do you really need support? Like really, you should be able to handle yourself at that age. I was like, okay. And I started crying and left to the bathroom. I cried for like 30 minutes straight in the hospital. Like, how mean do you have to be to say that to somebody who literally tried to kill themselves 2 hours prior? I didn't tell anybody because I didn't want to be a burden, but that nurse should have been fired. What did you think of these opinions? Let me know in the comments for free therapy from other users, and if you like the video, subscribe to be alerted with my uploads every day.